Straya, how are you going? How you going? I hope you're all right. You bloody well better be. It is Wednesday, hump day, June 3rd, all day. This is NBA Straya, and I am your host, James Clements. You can also see me the official AFL Supercoach podcast, AFL Today Show, all the good stuff, Fox Sports Lab NBA included. Tell you what, a lot going on. There is a lot going on. Why is that, Jim, you might ask? Because the NBA Finals are still 2 sleeps away. What the bloody hell is going on with this? It's getting ridiculous. If you thought it was weird on Monday, there's still no basketball, and it's Wednesday. This stinks. Anyway, the cool thing is we're just like, hey, I'll just come up with another idea to preview this series in a more interesting way than I did on Monday. And that's exactly what I'm doing again. But we're also going to do some, so what have we got? The 10 biggest questions going into the series, which is very fun. So Boston, Dallas, the 10 biggest questions I've got in my big dumb brain. When I say big dumb brain, I mean it's big, but it's really stupid because I've got a big head. Got to fill it with something, not just sawdust. We've also got the 5 best series bets, and we're just going to preview game 1 because I'm not going to do a Thursday show because what else have we got to talk about? The Extreme Zinger Meal's playing. We've got all the players all set up. We've got all the odds. We've got all the gear. So we're just going to get into it. We'll also do a little bit of news. We'll throw an Outback Takehouse in there as well just because why the bloody hell not? Why the bloody hell not? We've got nothing else to do. This is what happens. You give me a week and a half between bloody basketball games and you make Jim's just like, I don't know what to do with myself. It's ridiculous. I've gotten really good at footy tipping out of nowhere because of this. Insane gear. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this one. It should be a fun one too. Episode 1110. There you go. It's 11:10. That checks out, I'm sure, of NBA Straya. Let's go!
This is Joe Ingles, and you're listening to NBA Australia.
Watch out for the Shaq Attack.
Ah, you better. Better watch out for the paparazzi attack if you're Shaq. I don't know if you saw this one, Producer Gerald. Producer Gerald's here. He's over there. Finally back at work doing some work. He was back on Mondays, all right. Shaq was just on a boat, which I don't know if they've made boats big enough to hold a shack, but here we are. Anyway, they're like, here's a picture of Shaq and his 21-year-old girlfriend. You're like, oh, that's probably bad. He's old. 21. And then you hear all the, nothing really gets you fired up than like Twitter comments. Oh, God. You're just like, yes, there is an age difference. I think we all get it. But 21, I don't know. You're an adult. Make your own decisions. I don't give a shit. Anyway, let's start today's show the way we usually start NBA Straya with a daily whoosh. It's a whip around. Apparently it's taking photos of Shaq on a boat. Anyway, little bit of news. JJ Redick is apparently this close to being the new Lakers coach. I love it. Why would you do it? Is my question. You're like, okay, this is great. How do I want to get paid a bunch of money for 2 years before I get fired? Like, awesome job. It's like, I'd be like, all right, I need a 5-year contract. They're like, fine, you're LeBron's best mate. LeBron's not going to be here in 5 years, but that's fine, 5 years. Also, lots of money. That'd be good. And they're like, okay, you're LeBron's best mate. Off you go. Also, can I help choose some of the players? They're like, no, just piss off, JJ. Anyway, the craziest part about this is that the Lakers wanting to hire JJ Redick. It's kind of cool. It also finally gives me a bit of hope here, Producer Gerald. So, look, next time the Adelaide 36ers need a coach, I'm not going to do it. It's in Adelaide. Maybe I'll take over from Dean Vickerman and United and just be... Well, I'd rather have Daly as player coach, but anyway. But LeBron basically going, I want my friend JJ Redick to be the coach of the Lakers, and the Lakers going, oh, yes, please. Like, the words that they're using, Gerald, to, like, describe this shit is just chaos. They're infatuated with him as an idea of a coach. It's like, that's gross. Oh, JJ, I love you. I'm infatuated with you as the idea of you as their coach. Oh, that's so nice. I'm just like, oh. They're writing notes to him. It's like, oh, can't wait for you until you're our coach. This is going to be awesome. We're going to have so much fun. Do you want to hold my hand? Like, it's just weird. Stop saying weird words. Infatuated. It's gross. You're not a 13-year-old teen girl. Settle down. You're the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, we're infatuated with him. Anyway, Why is all this happening, Jim? Well, A, he's like LeBron James's best mate. And B, gee, they've got a coaching consultant in to help, sift through the candidates. Who could that be? Oh, Coach K, JJ's former fucking coach at Duke. What a surprise twist. And he's like, yes, I really do think that I think JJ's a very good coach. It's like, oh, you weirdo. We understand that your hair looks weird, Coach K. What happened? You weird old man. Anyway, so yes, Coach K in a surprise twist is tapping his former player to be the coach of the Lakers. I, for one, am shocked. Shocked, I tell you. But JJ Redick is the Lakers coach. I do already like that there's already conspiracy theories out there, Gerald. So the NBA is going to expand, right? So we're going to have Seattle and Vegas. After this new media deal is done, we'll have teams. The conspiracy theories are already out there, basically that JJ Redick's taking this job now so that when LeBron retires and goes and basically backs the Vegas franchise, right? So he's an owner. And then he can take his best mate, JJ Redick, to be the Vegas coach. It's like, but LeBron's still playing and JJ hasn't even coached yet. And we're already planning his next move. This is great. God, I love the conspiracy shit. Anyway, JJ Redick, Lakers coach, sure, maybe. It's not signed off yet. James Borrego is still apparently in the running. You got to be just fucking pissy as if you're James Borrego, though. You're like, I've grafted as an assistant coach. I ate a bunch of shit as like the Charlotte Hornets coach. It fucking sucked. I hated every minute of it. I'm a fucking coaching dude. I'm a coaching lifer. And JJ Redick's like, I'm on a podcast with LeBron. Give me the job. And they're like, all right. It's fucking brutal. It's pretty good, though. I'm just saying. I should get Delly back on the show just so that United, I can go, hey, Larry Kesselwood, I think I should be the coach. He's like, you are best friends with Delly, my friend. I'm like, yes, that's right. I should be the man. Delly, there is an always open invitation to be our co-host here on NBA Straya. Always open. Not just for me to get a coaching gig. Just because I love you. Anyway, Tim Connolly, he's staying with the Wolves, signed an extension. Very smart. He built the Denver Nuggets that won the title, and then he built the team that beat them. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, he didn't beat the team that could beat Dallas, so maybe he should have taken the Dallas job. But Nico Harrison also just got an extension. They announced that on the eve of the finals. So Nico Harrison's the GM of the Mavericks. That's very cool because he has done a fucking very good job. I trashed the Kyrie thing because Kyrie's a lunatic. No one saw the fact that Kyrie not being a lunatic would happen for the last 18 months, so good job by Kyrie, I guess. But there's always, look, we're going to get to the 10 biggest questions I've got about this final series in a second. The Kyrie question is fascinating because it just feels like he's the kind of dude, he's like, yeah, man, no one fucking understood me when I was younger. I was saying some weird shit. And they were like, hey, Kyrie, you need to mature. So all I did was just shut up and dribble. And I just sort of played it straight down the line because that's what they wanted me to do. But now I've retired. Fuck you. The earth is flat. Vaccines cause cancer. And I'm going to fucking be as anti-Semitic as I want. You're like, oh, he's back. He's 100% the dude that would just be like, yeah. They tried to put me in a box and I acceded for a couple of years. I got my money. I don't give a fuck now. That's awesome. He's definitely going to do that. Like Kyrie's still that dude. It's just that his basketball playing ability is fucking unreal. And I love watching him play. Just ask. I want somebody in the NBA Finals media scrum just to ask him his thoughts on Gaza. Just let him go. What do you reckon, Kyrie? What are your thoughts on Gaza? Hey, Kyrie, Palestine. Just say the word and just see what happens. Oh, cripes. I'll tell you. Hey, let's do a series preview. That's it. The 10 biggest questions I've got for this series. So the other day we talked about the simple, sort of basis facts of Boston versus Dallas. You have the Celtics, the best offensive rating in the NBA, the second best defensive rating. But of course, then after the All-Star break and essentially the last month of the season, the Mavericks had one of the very best defensive ratings in the NBA. The offense had actually improved as well, which is very cool. They were, in fact, after the All-Star break, one of the very best teams in the NBA. For the last month, they absolutely fucking shredded. That led into the playoffs where it's like, oh, geez, this is a weird team, isn't it? Turns out they were really fucking good. They stormed through the Western Conference Finals, to the Western Conference Finals, and then like curb stomped the Minnesota Timberwolves where you turn around and go, fuck, they gentlemen swept the Wolves. That was pretty good. Those games were close. It could have gone either way until they kicked the absolute living shit out of them in Game 5. The other side, you got this Boston Celtics team who's played quite literally nobody to the point where I have a stat on that. Producer Gerald, in the last 25 years of the NBA, if you had to guess if this Boston team had the easiest run to a finals, would you think that's true? He's nodding. Yeah, it is true. I didn't even look at him. I'm just assuming he's nodding. Literally, last 25 years. So 14 games have got them through the finals, right? So 14 games. They went 12-2. Boston's opponents, their All-Stars missed 9 of those games. So most teams have an All-Star. That's how the All-Stars kind of work. So the best team they ended up playing, because you think about Miami missing Jimmy Butler, Hero was in and out as well. You've got Bam, sure, but they didn't have Terry Rozier. They barely had Duncan fucking Robinson at that point. They lose Donnie Mitchell for a couple of games. Go to the throw, Jared Allen is out. Like, what are we doing here? Meanwhile, the Mavs went through 3 50-win teams with but Dallas had injuries. Oh, but Dallas didn't have Porzingis and they didn't fucking need him because they weren't playing anybody. So it's a weird setup. And as I sort of talked about in like the 5 best storylines for this series about the matchup quandary, it's like Dallas have played 3 teams that are uniquely different to Boston. And that's going to be like basically what this sort of 10 biggest questions is going to be about, because all of these matchup quandaries are fucking fascinating. You got the 2 big dudes on Dallas, you got the 2 big dudes on Boston. And ostensibly you go, well, you see Chet Holmgren, he shot 3s. And you're like, that's good. Did he shoot them as well as Porzingis and Hoford? The answer is no. So what's going to happen here? Karl Anthony Towns, he shoots 3s. He reckons he's the best shooting big man of all time. He's wrong, but also he can shoot. So how are they going to sort of basically set up their defense is going to be fascinating for the Dallas side of things. But really, just everything is stacked against the Mavericks anyway, because like you look at 5 seeds or lower in NBA Finals history, it's like this Mavs team against the Celtics. It's last year's Miami team. There was an 8 seed, remember. They lost in 5 to the Nugs. 2020, the number 5 Heat lost in 6 to the Lakers. The 1999 Knicks were the 8 seed. They lost in 5 to the Spurs. The Rockets in 1995, they swept the Magic, who were the 1 seed. So there's a winner. Outside of that, the 1981 6 seed Rockets lost in 6 to the number 1 Celtics. So going into this, history is very clearly against the Dallas Mavericks. Because what else, if you look at it, how many wins have they gotten so far as this Celtics team? What, they're 12-2. It's pretty good. It's 76? Yeah, 76 wins already. 20 losses. That's a pretty good season. So just saying. Basically, the setup, though, is we have 2 teams that have wildly different sort of play setups. Boston led the league in rim protection. The Mavericks, though, were the best team after the All-Star break in rim protection, so that's pretty interesting. You think about the 3s. Boston led the league in made 3s this year at 16.5. Dallas was 14.6. That was 3rd behind Golden State. But it's the way that they both play that's very different. You got 5 out in Boston because Hoford and Porzingis can both shoot, but Porzingis can go into the paint. He's got a pretty good post-up game, which is a bit of a change from when he was in Dallas when he couldn't do much. And that was half their frustration. It's like, hey, you've got Luka. Just be chill, bro, and like work on your post-up shit. He's like, no, I'm a superstar. Let me shoot this 3. And they're like, you're traded. But really, you think about the turnovers as well. It's like the lowest turnover percentage in the league for the Celtics. The Mavs, they were the 17th in opponent turnover percentage. So Boston, they'll probably be fine looking after the ball. It's one of those things where if you look after the ball, they should probably win a lot of these games. It's a really fascinating setup. Absolutely stoked in this. So let's do the 10 biggest questions for the Boston Dallas NBA Finals. Number 1, what extreme zinger meal do we get? We're going through the drive-thru at KFC. We're like, can I have this one? They're like, no, we're all out. You're like, can I get a supercharged zinger? And they're like, no, we're all out. It's like, can I get a zinger with a working calf? And they're like, maybe. Pull up to the front window and you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen now. Cool. So is it an extreme zinger? Is it I don't know. What are the other zingers, Gerald? There's like supercharged zinger burger. You got the double zinger. I don't know. Zinger extreme. Let's fucking go. We should go to Oh, now I'm hungry. Fuck. God damn it. We're going to KFC, Gerald. Anyway, biggest question is, zinger hasn't played in 40 days, basically, right? Elite rim protection, three-point shooting, post-up machine. The post-up thing is going to be fascinating because you obviously got two really good rim protectors there for Dallas in Derek Lively and Dan Gafford. And I think there's a pretty cool stat about how in the regular season, Boston averaged 120.3 points per 100 and allowed only 109.4 when Porzingis was out there with Tatum and Brown, White, and Drew Holiday. That's pretty fucking good. If you can go for 120 and only give up 109, I'm no math magician, but that's 11 points fucking better. Yes, mate, not bad. With the same lineup, though, if you put Al Horford in there with Zinger, that shrinks to like 118 to 115. And I think it's 118.5 to 115.8. So your margin for error gets extremely smaller if you're Boston, if you don't have the Zinger. So if he's out there knocking in threes going, this is pretty good. I'm Latvian bang gangbanger. Let's go, motherfuckers. I shoot threes. I don't cause no havoc. I average 23 points a game this season. It's pretty fucking good, huh? And you're like, yeah, what the fuck was that accent, Jim? And I'm like, I don't know. Probably the Zinger. And he does talk weird, though. The Zinger, he's such a unique proposition for this Dallas team to take on because he's that much bigger than Karl Anthony Towns that Dallas just sort of took care of. He's got a way different game to Rudy Gobert. He's got a different game to Chet Holmgren, even though that's like at least comparable because he's at least on the three-point line. And if you go all the way back to the Clippers series, they didn't have like a, switch three-shooting big man. Zoobs is right there in the guts of it, So if Zinger is on point from the absolute fucking get-go, if that calf of his, a calf that's probably as big as my body because he's 7'20", right? So you think about that, you're like, Jesus, the bloke's legs are fucking the size of a goddamn horse. And away you go. Like, it's a big calf, which means if it's torn, it's a big tear. It's like the old adage, what does big feet mean? Big socks. And also a giant wang. But anyway, the Zinger meal, he's out there. If he's healthy, it makes this Boston team, as I said with those numbers, way fucking better. So if he's healthy, they're fucking rolling. I love that. And it really gives Dallas like a uniquely tough fucking matchup where Lively and Gafford on the defensive end, how much can you keep them out on the floor? Do you have to employ Maxi Kleber more than you probably want to during the games? It gets hard really quickly. Number 1, what Zinger do we get? Supercharged? Or just one of those really shit limp ones that's been in the cooker for way too fucking long and is like, it's gone past the point of being dry and now it's like sort of like gross and moist and like a bit slippery. You're like, I'm definitely going to get fucking food poisoning from this Zinger. I'm still going to eat it because I'm drunk and hungry. Hey, Jim, are you talking from experience? Maybe. Shut up. Number 2. Can Jason Tatum be the best player in this series? Oh, the team with the best player in the series usually wins. Oh, do they? Fucking Captain Obvious. Thanks for saying the most boring fucking shit in the world over and over again. Best player in the series. Tell that to 2015 and 26 LeBron fucking James. He's like, Jesus Christ. I was out there with Dally as my second best player in 2015. We didn't win. You're like, yeah, it gets that way. 2017, was Kevin Durant the best player in that series? Maybe. He won the finals MVP. LeBron was still out there. 2011, was Dirk the best player in the world in that series? No, he was just the best player in the series because he kicked everyone's ass. They had D Wade and LeBron. Maybe I'm just talking shit about LeBron, but either way. 2016, yeah, the Cavs actually won that one, but then 17-18, LeBron was still in those fucking series and they didn't win. Anyway, Kawhi, he won in 2019. Not bad. Anyway, Tatum, can he be the best player in the series? If he does, they win, and he's the MVP, probably, right? Maybe. Can he? Yes. Will he? Perhaps. Because if he can be the best player in this series, this is the big question here, right? Does Tatum have this in him? Does he have it in him? Can he step up and go, that's cute that Luka Dončić is like dropping triple doubles left, right, and fucking center, but I, and Jason Tatum, check this out, I am basically as interesting as a wet paper bag usually, but actually, check this out, here's 40 points a fucking game. Wha-bang. Or at least give me 20 fucking 9, 12, and 6. They're numbers that Tatum can get to. And Boston will probably need him to do that for at least 3 of the games if they are going to win. And if Tatum does just lay his old fucking wang out there and just go, and just goes, yeah, how do you like that? And Dallas are like, oh, fucking not very much. Because you just put your penis on the table. So if Tatum does that, right, and comes out and goes, that's cute that you guys think that Luka is the best player in this series. But hey, also I play defense. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And it's like, oh, Luka's trying. Luka's like, I was trying to drink beer and Michael Finley takes fucking beer from me. Fucking, this is bullshit fucking. Tatum's like, I'm a fucking weapon on both ends of the floor. If he wins the finals MVP, if they win the title, we probably have to go, yes, he's a top 3 player in the NBA at this point. It's probably going to be some sort of combo of like Luka, Jokic, and Tatum. With all apologies to SGA, but Jesus, score more than 31. SGA when it matters. But the Tatum thing, like we know that he's probably got this in it. He's had these massive, massive games against Milwaukee, against Miami. This is the put up or shut the fuck up moment in his career. It's like you're 26, not bad for a 19-year-old Jason Tatum. He is in the prime of his career. Either fucking do it or shut up. You've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 6 of the last 8 years. That's absurd. It's so good. No team has won this much and not won the fucking title. So you're better. And your best player has to fucking stand up. Can he be the best player in the series? Can he? Yes. Will he? Celtics fans are better fucking hoping so. Number 3, who guards Luka? Well, Jaylen Brown did a bunch of it in the regular season. So that's the other thing I meant to mention at the top. So the Celtics have won the last 4 straight against Dallas. 4-0. So Joey Muzz, I love you, Jason. Jason, I love you, man. Hey, after we beat the fucking shit out of the Mavs, bro, do you want to go and watch The Town, man? Like, it is a really good movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Jason, but I love it and I love you, man. Anyway, so Jaylen Brown has guarded Luka a bunch in the last game, and it sort of seems like Joey Muzz is being very, 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 very circumspect. It's like, we'll guard space. It's like, I mean, technically, aren't we all guarding space at all times? But it's probably their approach to guarding the Mavs, which will be, it obviously starts with who guards Luka. And you go, Jaylen Brown will probably go, I'm pretty big, I'm pretty tough, give me a shot, coach, come on. Because like the other sort of options there are like Tatum, and you're like, yeah, I don't know how quick he is on the perimeter against Luka, who's out there torching Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, who's 7'5", etc. Tatum, interesting option. Drew Holiday, amazing option. Derek White, maybe not that great of an option, but he's still pretty fucking quick. They have really good options. They can just throw dudes at Luka. We also thought that about Minnesota though, didn't we? And he just went, that's very cute. They figured out everything and still score 40. Fuck off, fucking. And you're like, this is awesome. That's why Luka is fucking great. Brown, like Jaylen Brown's combo of like size, athleticism, IQ, gives him basically as good a chance as anybody's going to have, right? Apart from maybe Dort, who did a pretty good job in the second round against OKC. But at the same time, Luka still fucking figured that out as well. So the cascading effect, and this is why this is one of the big 10 questions, right, is that whoever guards Luka, you then have the ripple effect of like who then looks after Kyrie. Is it Giroux? Is it D. White? What are you doing? And then can Tatum feast if he's being guarded by PJ or Derek Jones Jr., etc., and so on and so forth. So if they just go, Jaylen Brown, sick Luka, have a crack, off we go. Or if they try the Minnesota approach, which was like, here's just a rotating cast of characters, they might get torched and he rips off 20 points in the first quarter like he did in Game 5. So it's a fascinating setup. I love that because that leads into question number 4. Can the Dallas Wings slow down in any way, shape or form Tatum and Brown? Because, as I said, in the lead up to this series, both teams have played really, really different teams to who they now have to face in the finals. Dallas had to slow down Anthony Edwards, which they did pretty bloody well, and question mark, like Jaden McDaniels. He's like, I'm afraid to shoot, sir. I don't want to. And Mike Conley, old ass Mike Conley, no fucking chance. It's like Karl Anthony Towns. It's like, yeah, he's also just going to miss everything. Check this out. So the Celtics, they'll sort of go, right, we're going to throw Zinger on the worst perimeter shooter on the other team, and then you can protect the rim. So Derrick Jones Jr. or PJ Washington, whoever's sort of out there, as they sort of go on offense and have a crack at those defenders on the Celtics side, can they sort of then get on the flip side and make Tatum and Brown work for their points? I still reckon it's not a bad idea. Just go, look, Jason Tatum's really, really good. Just how damaging can he be is the big question. If you let Luka off the chain and just like let him go fucking ham, it's a completely different thing, I think, if you then do the same thing for Tatum. Golden State tried this against Jaylen Brown, remember? They're like, fuck it. Hey, Jaylen Brown shoots some threes. And he's like, and I took that personally and like went and shot fucking 5 threes and hit 5 threes in the first like 8 minutes or whatever the fuck it was and was going to score 80 million points. So these Dallas Wings, Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Hamilton Washington, on defense, matching up against Brown and Tatum, you look at that and go, ooh, Dallas's defensive scheme's going to get a bit interesting. So we'll see what happens, right? PJ's got a bit of size. Derrick Jones Jr., he's got a bit of athleticism. I'm not convinced they're hard-nosed, tough enough to really slow down Tatum and Brown. But if you can just make them work, that's going to be the big question. Because if you think about Indy and the way that they had to do it, it's like, well, we've got Siakam, we've got Naismith, and then you're like, hey, Indy, do you play defense? They're like, no, we just, to be honest, Jim, we just don't. You're like, all right, cool. Then what was it? Cleveland had fucking no one. It's like, here's Isaac Okoro and Karis LeVert. And you're like, oh, God. And if you want to cast your mind back to Miami, it's like, we've got nobody. Have at it, sirs. So this is a unique proposition, I think, for Boston, sitting there going, fuck, these guys are trying. What the hell? And also for Dallas, though, it's like, fuck, we've got to stop 2 dudes? Fuck, it was pretty hard closing down 1 dude on the last 2 teams that we played. Because if you remember, it was SGA, J-Dub had a shit series. Was that because of the defense? Possibly. And then against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, bit of a quiet one, but then boom. Karl Anthony Towns was dog shit as well, and they didn't really have another perimeter scorer. So it's a unique proposition, again, for the Dallas Mavericks and how they guard the Boston Wings. Hey, how do the Dallas Bigs cover Zinger, extreme Zinger Mill, and Hoford? And can they actually do it? This is the big question as well. Relating to question number 1, like are we going to see Gafford being dragged out? Is Zinger going to toast him that way? Because what happens when they do that, like they sort of have these moments where on offense, Boston will go, right, it's going to be swinging around to Zinger, and the big dudes on Dallas, their entire thing was a bit of drop coverage for the big dudes because we're playing Rudy Gobert, we're playing Chet. We'll let the other guys get a bit, it doesn't matter if like Kyrie and Luka get toasted because we've got good rim protection. For Boston, the rim protection doesn't seem to matter quite as much because they take so many different threes, right? Like the Mavs didn't get up heaps of threes, but they were always like pick and pop threes from centers. Fucking have at it. Clippers and Wolves didn't really have anyone, but look, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams went fucking ham in it. They took 42 in 6 games. Even Naz Reid, he took 25 threes in the 5-game series, right? So the extreme Zinger meal, if you're not covering with Lively and Gafford and trying to close down that pick and pop 3, he will fucking torch you because he can hit the shit out of threes. He's shooting, 40% for the season? So with Lively and Gafford in the paint, I think it was like 50% shooting on 2s for the Mavs opponents in the playoffs. And you're like, that's pretty fucking good. That's just not the way Dallas plays, though. That's not the way Boston plays. Boston are like, look, we'll drive, kick. Look, you got to cover our 3-point shooters at all fucking costs. Dallas like, we're protecting the rim. And it's like, okay, but we're going to hit this 3. How do you like that, dickheads? Bang! So if those Dallas Bigs can cover a Zinger and Hoford like effectively, I don't know. Lively just is so long and fucking quick, and he's so vocal that it's really, really cool. It wouldn't be a giant surprise that if he ends up starting in this series, obviously. But the zinger, he shot 37.5% from three on 6 attempts this season. Al Horford was at 42% basically. So you better hope they can actually fucking cover those dudes. Elsewise, it's a lot of Maxi Kleber very quickly. Number 6, Kyrie Irving. That's just the question. Kyrie Irving, question mark. He's going back to Boston, Gerald. Producer Gerald. Kyrie Irving, once upon a time, played for the Boston Celtics. After he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Everybody loved him at first. And then they fucking hated him because he's like, hey, it'd be really fucking cool to stay here if you want me. And then like 4 months later, he's like, actually, fuck all y'all. I never liked you anyway. And then came back, was burning sage because he's like, there's too many bad spirits in this shit. He's stomping on the fucking Celtics logo, Lucky. He's like, yeah, fucking take that, you little leprechaun motherfucker. Ah, bang, bang. You're like, you're just weird. What are you doing? He's like fucking mouthing off to like Boston fans and shit when he's playing against them. He's giving the birds. It's awesome. Love that shit. But this is the NBA Finals. What happens? Because Kyrie's like, oh, he talks a massive game. He's like, I've fucking been here before, man. I'm a leader. I've been here before. I've gone through the fire. Yeah, you're like, with LeBron. I'm a leader. Cool. Where's your fucking best mate LeBron James then, you dickhead? Who there was also reports, the Lakers tried to get him. It's like, yeah, good job. Anyway. So Kyrie goes back to Boston. He's burned his sage. He's stomped on Lucky. How much does that eat into his psyche is the big question, right? Can he keep this shit on the straight and level? Because if you go back through like Kyrie, as I think I did this the other day, right? The Kyrie playoff experience has been way more up and down than you'd think if you actually were just listening to people talk about it, right? They're like, oh, he's completely changed. His game has been amazing. He's just fucking just really settled down and figured out how to just do his shit. He had 36 points in that Game 5 win. It was awesome. In the loss before that, he shot 6 of 18. He had 16 points. He had 33, 20, and 30 in the other 3 games that series. Very cool. He also had a weirdly up and down series against OKC. He had 22, 2, and 3 in the closeout game. That you might remember they won by a point, which was a chaos game. He had 12 on 5-11 shooting in Game 5. He had 9 points, 9 assists on 4 of 11 shooting in Game 4. He had 22, 5, and 7 in Game 3. He had 9 points again in Game 2, 20 in Game 1. You wind it all back to like when they played the Clippers. Fuck, that feels about 87 years ago. He had 30, 14, 40, 21, 23, 31. So there's always a couple of weird stinkers in each of these series for Kyrie. And Boston, you feel like not many people can shut down Kyrie Irving. And Boston, you're like, well, they're very well equipped to shut down Kyrie Irving. They've got Derek White and Jrue Holiday. What have they got in common? I don't know. All NBA second defensive team. That's pretty fucking good, right? The weirdest part is they still struggle against quick point guards. Kyrie Irving, he's a quick point guard. Oh, fucking shit. So Boston are like, this could be amazing or it could be horrible. That's their entire approach when it comes to Kyrie. He could shred. He could stink. I can't fucking wait to find out what happens because I expect the vitriol that he gets from the crowd will probably fuel him a little bit. We saw him pushing a little bit in a couple of these games in the last series, and then he came good as well. He had those amazing, the first half in some of those games where it was like, I needed to get off to a quick start after a slow, shitty start in the OKC series and stuff. So what happens? What happens? Does he go off the rails at any point? I can't fucking wait to find out. Kyrie might be the biggest question mark in this entire thing. Number 7, can the Dallas roleplayers keep playing above their heads? I.e., is PJ Hamilton Washington going to be a combination of Robert Horry and fucking Ray Allen some more? Because he is awesome at this point. How does the shooting go basically for Derek Jones Jr. and PJ Washington is all I'm asking. Because Dallas ranked 20th in catch and shoot threes with 9 per game throughout the season. And then if you think about the way that they've shot the piss out of it in the playoffs, their 3-point percentage has actually sort of dipped, which is weird. So their 3-point attempts has gone to 42.4%, which is 6, right? And their 40.9% of their field goal attempts has been threes now. So that's 9th. So they're taking less threes all of a sudden. they're still shooting a bunch of jumpers, but it's not threes. And you're like, okay, so what happens? Is Derek Jones Jr., is PJ Hamilton-Washington going to step up, keep up this nice scoring bit, or are we going to see an all-time spud of the night stinker from PJ? He's usually got one in him per series because that's what happens. PJ Washington has been an absolute godsend for this team, right? But by the same time, he also just he's like always lurking is a 3 for 13 night. He's like, hey boys, guess what? It's game 2. And they're like, oh no, it's not going to be that. He's like, guess what it is? 3 for 13. You're like, fucking PJ. Well, we're not winning tonight, I guess. So if you go back through that Minnesota series, he actually went 3 of 13 in the game they lost. Nailed it. 4 of 10 in game 1, 4 of 11 in game 2. He was amazing, obviously, in the OKC series. He went 11 of 18, 11 of 23, 7 of 19, and then 4 of 9, 2 of 6 in the final game. So pretty bad at that point. 1 of 7 in game 5 against the Clippers. So he's always got one big stinker per series. Derek Jones Jr. tends to have one really good game per series as well. If they can match up and equal out each other, who knows what's going to happen. But those role players, if they're going to make Tatum work a little bit on defense or if they can just hide Zinger on him, whatever. This is a big moment for Dallas. What are they going to do? Are they going to hit their fucking shots? Are they going to let Zinger hide out on PJ Hamilton-Washington? Can he, he's really effective when you're sort of watching him just cut along the baseline, making that defender move heaps. So if he does that, watch the fuck out, Boston. Number 8, can J Kidd outcoach Joey Muzz? Oh, I love you, Jason Kidd. Oh, I don't love you, actually, Jason Kidd. You're actually fucking... Hey, Jason Kidd, we could be best mates if you just want to come out and watch The Town with me, because I don't know if you've seen that movie, Jason Kidd, but it is fucking good as, man. It's even about Boston, bro. Jason Kidd's like, I fucking hate you. I hate Boston. Fuck all y'all. You're all right, cool. So who wins the coaching battle? Kidd's had some interesting sort of adjustments to make. Joey Muzz seems a little bit hesitant all the fucking time to make too many adjustments. And you're like, he's from the Mike Budenholzer tree, eh? Well, he's not really, but Jesus. So J Kidd is a little bit more willing to sort of just pull the trigger on just changing shit up. That's cool. Good on him. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Joey Muzz is also a little bit like, oh, fucking, I don't know, man. We won a shit ton of games playing this way, bro. It's like, yeah, you stomp the shit out of a weak Eastern Conference. Then you kick the shit out of a bunch of shit Eastern Conference playoff teams. I don't know. I feel like you should be a little more open to change. Did you learn that in your jiu-jitsu, Joey Muzz? Just need to know. But really it comes down to like the simple idea, the X's and O's are well and good. You've probably heard this a million times this week. Oh, yeah, cool. Dallas has got the best player in the fucking finals, but Boston's got like 6 of the top 8. And you're like, you're not wrong. Maybe. Derek Lively might crack that, but still. The coaching thing is like one thing that you got to keep an eye on because J Kidd, as an NBA championship coach, would be fucking funny as. After all the shit I've given him, having watched him in Brooklyn, giving him shit from afar, it would be hilarious if he outcoached the shit out of Joey Muzz and won the fucking title. Just saying. But Joey Muzz, look, he's also got the best team. So as long as he pulls the triggers at the right time, he should be all right. Number 9, can Dallas outscore Boston 4 times? This is one of the tricky ones. Oh, Dallas's defense is really good. It's like, yes. But if their offense has one slight fucking hiccup, Kyrie, Luka, if they have like one inefficient night between the two of them, what happens? Who fills in the gaps? Can you outscore Boston if that happens? It feels really fucking unlikely. As good and as high-end as that offensive talent is between Luka and Kyrie, we saw Kyrie just have a couple of like wobbly games here and there, and it gets squirrely real fucking quick. Luka can only paper over enough cracks as the Slovenian bricklayer, right? So can they do it? Yes. Will they? It's pretty fucking tricky, right? So if you think about the last 4 games that they played, Boston scored 138 in the last matchup, 138, 110. That is a shit pumping. Before that, it was 119 to 110. Before that, it was 124 to 90 fucking 5. Before that, it was 125 to 112. Hey, what do you notice about those games? That's right. Boston didn't score less than 119 points in fucking any of them over the last 2 years. So, can Dallas manufacture 119 points? Fuck, it's a bit tough, right? So it gets really, really tough really, really quickly in terms of the Dallas offense. Because you think about their previous games, they ripped off 124 over 103 on the Wolves. They kicked the fuck out of them. The rest of their games, 105, 100, 116, 107, 109, 108, 108, 105. They're like dragging in the mud, get it close at the end, and we'll beat you. Cool. Thunder, it was 117, 116, 104, 92, 196, 105, 101, 119, 110. Watch out. Then they lost 95, 117 in game one of that series. So much of the Dallas stuff, as good as the offense has been, you think about what they want to do. They want to drive, throw some fucking oops, go Gafford, go lively, kick it out, hope that PJ Hamilton, Washington, and Derrick Jones Jr. and Josh Green hit some bloody threes. And then the rest of it's like, hey, Luka and Kyrie, do your fucking thing. Just cook them. And it's cool. It's fun. I worry about its ability to outscore Boston 4 times in the series. Which leads us into the last one. Hey, does Boston need to win this more than Dallas do? This is a great fucking question. Oh, Jim, I like this one. Dallas need to win this. They really fucking need to win this series because you know how hard it's going to be to win through. It's just fucking hard right now to win through the West. You got a rising Minnesota team, a rising OKC team. You've got a Lakers team that'll no doubt get JJ Redick and probably fucking pick up Trae Young or some bullshit or Donovan Mitchell. And you'll be like, what the fuck? How do they do this again? They're the Lakers. That's how they did it. You got the Clippers. You've got a Phoenix team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. You've got a fucking Pelicans team that's always like weirdly loaded for Bear and Zion and can rejigger their entire thing on the fly. You've got fucking Wemby on San Antonio. If they get him a little bit of help, watch out. That sort of shit. It is so fucking hard. I haven't even said Golden State or Sacramento, right? Are you just naming teams now, Jim? Yes. But the West is loaded. It's always loaded. There's a reason Boston have made 6 of the last 8 Eastern Conference Finals because the East has been shit. And each year it always feels like one of the big dudes is fucking knocked out due to injury. Joel Embiid, Giannis, fucking somebody, right? Jimmy Butler. And Boston, it feels like they're always going to be there. Like unless there's like a big fucking injury to like one of their 2 main dudes, they will probably be there again next year. But holy fucking shit do they need to win this title to validate all of this. They've gone all in. They've just gone, hey, what's this? Is this a giant pile of fucking chips? All in. They've gone for the Zinger trade. They've done the Giroux trade. Before that, the Derek White trade. It's cool. It's fun. But fucking hell, they need to win it because we're just not going to take them seriously otherwise. And that, I'm going to get to the bonus question in a second. But Dallas, like this is their best / only shot. Like it's working right now. But as we've seen, like it's fucking super hard to win a goddamn NBA title, right? So Denver win it last year. They look like a dynasty. Suddenly they're a little bit thinner. They lose 2 role players and they're getting rolled in the second fucking round. Minnesota, they're looking pretty good. Up top, feeling great. Dallas roll in, punch them in the mouth, keep moving. They got Luka, they got Kyrie, they got a bit of defense, they got some good role players. Their time has to be fucking right now. Most importantly, they got the Aussies. Let's fucking go the Aussies. Josh Green, Dante Exum. Is this the Dante Exum series? Fuck, it would be the greatest story in the history of the NBA if it was though, wouldn't it? If he just went, hey coach, just, I don't know, play me 12 minutes and he goes out there and wins the finals MVP. Fucking bang, let's go. Maybe not, but still. This setup though, Boston, they need to win this. For us to validate them as a team, to validate the fucking Brown and Tatum partnership. Look, it's not a failure if they don't win, but it's going to feel like a giant kick in the dick, right? Because at this point, they'll start feeling like the fucking Blazers of the, late 80s and the early 90s, as opposed to like the bad boy Pistons or the Hakeem Rockets or something who come out and finally sort their shit out and win a couple of titles. But the Blazers, you think about the Drexler Blazers, right? Super solid superstar, doing a bit of everything, a bunch of awesome role players and shit like that, and can never get over the hump. Clyde the Glide eventually fucking pisses off, wins a title with Houston in 95. So you got some weird things going on. You think about even the Dallas teams of Dirk in the mid-thousands, and you're like, yeah, they made a finals, they're up, and they lose. And you're like, well, the Celtics were up 2-1 on the fucking Warriors a couple of years ago. Same sort of thing, question mark? Like the teams that are always in and around it but never get over the hump, they get sort of sent off to the dustbin of history a little bit. Like, no one talks about the fucking Clyde Drexler Blazers for good reason. You think about Barkley's Suns. They were awesome, but they were also playing in a Western Conference, again, that was fucking loaded. So, yeah, it gets tricky real fucking quick. Boston desperately need to win. If you think about another one, the classic one is the Utah Jazz. They made 2 finals. What happened? They got beaten by Michael Jordan both times. Sucked in, Jazz. Sucked in, Karl Malone. Sucked in, John Stockton. But that's the sort of risk they're running now. It's like, are they a modern day Jazz where they just can't get over the top of a team that has a higher fucking ceiling than them because Tatum can't be the best player in a series? Maybe. So Boston desperately need to win this series. They need to win this series to validate our feelings about that team. Because Dallas, this is their best shot. No one expected them to be here this year. It's awesome. If they can build on that for next year, they'll give themselves a puncher's chance, but it's fucking radical. But that leads us nicely into a bit of an Outback Takehouse. Oh, yeah. It's Wednesday at Outback. You know what that means? Well, I took the squids to daycare and school this morning. A couple of cricket bats out either fucking side, one in the pram, one on the scooter, and wha-bang, 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 wha-bang. Right through a cloud of magpies. Nothing was left but a bunch of feathers. We chucked all the carcasses under the pram, brought them home, chucked them on the barbie. That's right, magpie wings. They're on the menu today, only at Outback. And today's flame grilled take is, fuck the Celtics. The Mavs have run a gauntlet of 50-win teams to get here. Boston played the under-14 East Keilor mixed fucking netball teams. What are we doing? You're taking the piss, mate. Mavs in 5. Only at Outback. Nah, look, that is one of the more, biggest questions that are floating around this. Does that matter that they've beaten the shit out of injured teams? You can only beat who's in front of you, of course. But they dodge Milwaukee, they dodge Philly, all this sort of shit. They dodge the fucking Knicks. And the Mavs have just gone fucking hammer and tongs with the Thunder, the Wolves, the Clippers. Does that make them more battle-tested? I guess we're about to find out. It's very fucking fun. It's very fucking cool. My biggest problem is, this might be the Outback Takehouse is, what is this Celtics team? If they win, who cares outside of Celtics fans? What does Jason Tatum mean to you? Right? He's as I said, he's fucking about as charismatic as a wet paper bag. And Jaylen Brown, it's sure, whatever. The zinger, great. Derek White, awesome. Al Hoford, though, I'll pay that. 3rd most games of all time without winning a title. Yeah, that is pretty nice. But otherwise, what did Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown inspire in you? This might be my biggest problem with this team. When I talk about eras and shit like that on NBA Straya, and how this doesn't quite feel the Boston Celtics ruled the East era because they've only made their 2nd finals in fucking 6 cracks. Yeah, it's because they're not that fucking interesting, Tatum and Brown. Oh, the interplay between the two is that interesting. Is it? There's a reason we fucking love that Knicks team this year because it was fucking psychotic and awesome and weird and funky. The Dallas team is kind of the same thing. Luka does shit where you're just what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Kyrie as well. There's at least a sort of pure fucking hooper vibe about that Dallas team that you just that's psycho. I kind of love it. Bring the chaos. Boston is there's Tatum and Brown. Hunkadory. What the fuck, man? I hope they lose just on that. All right, let's take a quick break. Be back with the best series bets right after this.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Kadee.
This is Daryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Illy.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA
And you're
Straya.
listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, we're going to do some yeah nahs on this show, but I ended up just going, fuck it, we'll just do the 10 big questions. So I hope that answered all your yeah nahs. So this one is just going to be the best bets I have for this that I like for this series, whatever. But then we'll just do the game one preview as well. because it just sort of leans into the next one. So if you think about some of the series bets, obviously finals MVP is one of the big ones. I've already mentioned that I really like the idea of Derek White as a really long shot at like $31 or something. Because when you think about like when the best player on the best team doesn't win, it's usually because like some weird role player has like stepped up and had like the series of their life. And Derek White could do that at the fucking drop of a hat. Like he's done that at times already these playoffs where he comes out and he just goes, hey guys, guess what tonight I'm going to do? And they're like, what's that, Derek? And he's like, I'm going to hit 8 threes. And you're like, fuck, that's pretty cool. Off you go. And he's like, off he goes. Like he is a series-long game changer. So it's at least worth of like vague look. He wasn't that great against the Pacers. He had 16, 13, 23, and 15. And against the Cavs, he had 25, 10, 12, 5, and 18. But it was against the Heat, right? He ripped off the 20, 13, 16, 38, and then the 25. If he has like a 38 and 25 in like games 4 and 5 in a gentleman's sweep of the Mavs, like it's going to be fucking hard to go, can we not give that to Derek White? He just fucking won the series for them, right? And it's the people who like really show up in those games 4 and 5, the deciding games, right? That tend to win it in finals MVP. And I just kind of like the idea of Derek White just going, shit, I'm right here. I'm hitting threes, sucked in. It's at least worth a look. If you like Boston to win the series, of course. The same thing goes either way. Like the only ones I don't really like are like, unless Kyrie has like the best series of his fucking life. I'm not entirely convinced of the Kyrie thing. Jaylen Brown has won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP because he played out of his skin. At the same time, if you look at that Indiana Pacers team and like, I don't know, the defense they don't fucking play, you kind of like, oh yeah, so he probably should have cooked them because they didn't have really anybody to defend them. So Tatum is probably the obvious one because he's probably got the nicer kind of matchup there against the Mavs. So if you let Boston win, Tatum's the obvious one. The zinger, I don't feel great about that just because he's coming off the injury. If he wasn't, and he was out there and he just dropped 25 a fucking game or something, you'd be kind of like, boom, Zinger's a bit of a chance here. Don't know, he's a game breaker. But I think Tatum will be sort of doing a little bit of everything, so I don't mind that for Boston. And obviously on the other side, it's like Luka. It's Luka. And as I said, I don't really like the idea of Kyrie, even if the Mavs win. So Derek White is a fun outsider. Probably Tatum is the pick. Don't really like Brown. Don't like Kyrie. Away we go. Total points leader. I like this one. Who scores the most points? Obviously, Luka's there. There is a market floating around that I don't mind, just because it's insane. Luka, not only he'd be the first scoring champion actually to win a title, I think, since Shaq did it in 2000, which is crazy to think about. 6 of the 11 times that's actually happened has been MJ. So he averaged, 33 points a game? Unreal. The cool one out there is, though, breaking Elgin Baylor's final points scoring record, which is absolutely fucking psycho. So to the point where you're like, how can he even like mathematically do that? It's like, well, he has to average over 43 points a game. You're like, I don't think he'll do that, Jim. You're probably right. But it is still really cool. So if we look at it and find the actual fun market, because it disappeared before. Here we go. For the series, for the record, Elgin Baylor's final series record, 285 plus points. That's a bit. So I'll tell you what, Gerald, 285. To do that in your 7-game series, you have to average 40.7 points a game. Do you reckon you can do that? That's in the 7 games as well. He's got to go for 7 and he's got to average 40. It's $36. I'm just saying. I don't think you'll be able to do it, but god damn, that'd be fucking fun. Anyway, total points leader though for the series. I actually don't mind Tatum at $3.60. It was the other day. So the series top point scorer, Luka's at $1.57. Tatum's at $3.60. The other sneaky one is maybe the zinger. If you think he's just going to be knocking in threes left, right, and center, he's at 41. It's not bad. But I like Tatum as just a better value pick there. Whereas if he can sort of just keep going and score 32 points a game, if Luka has like one quiet one and it's over in 5, Tatum's probably scored the most amount of points there. He's probably the best look at total points, total rebounds as well for this series too. But for a bit of across the series betting vibes, against the line, Boston, 41, 37, and 4 for the season, 44 and 84 after the playoffs, right? So that's 11th. They haven't covered the line a giant amount in these playoffs. They've had some weird, funky games that have been closer than you expect, and then they have a couple of blowouts. They're 26 and 22 at home against the line, 22 and 22 on the road. On the road, the Dallas Mavericks are the best team in the NBA against the spread, 34 and 16 so far. They're 59 and 40, in fact, second best in the NBA in terms of percentage against the line are the Mavs. So at home, 25 and 24, 11th best, but best on the road, 34 and 16. It might just inform my game one pick as well, just saying. So awesome team on the road against the spread are the Mavs. Boston against the line, not that much chop, 48 and 44. It's pretty middling. Still not that bad either. Over-unders, though, is the interesting one. So Dallas, none of the overs seem to hit. They're 45 and 54. So 54 for the unders, 45 for the overs. Boston a little bit higher, 50 and 44. So 50 for the overs, 44 for the unders. At home, 28 and 21 for Boston. So a lot more high-scoring games at home. On the road, 22 and 23. Gross. Dallas at home, way under, 20 to 29. On the road, a flat 25-25. So on the road, it feels like this one's going to go over, which is interesting. But Dallas would cover. You know, if you just break down those two sets of numbers right there for game one. There's some other series-long ones that I really like. Derek White, points per game. So his average across the series, over 14.5. Love that. Kyrie Irving, under 23.5. If Boston win this series, it's because Kyrie isn't lighting up for like 26 points a game. You know, that sort of gear. Kyrie will probably have one or two stinkers up against Giroux, up against Derek White, up against Jaylen Brown as they sort of figure this out as the series goes. Don't mind the under there for him. In terms of the scoring for the bigger names, so Tatum is over 27.5. I don't mind the over there. I think he's going to have a big series. I asked that big question earlier. I think he's going to go hammer and tongs. Jaylen Brown, points per game, over 23.5. I think he probably goes over that. Luka is 30.5. I'd probably still go over. I think he averages like 32 a game. Not 40, but 32. So there you go. For the best bets, Boston 4-2. That's probably my series bet. That's probably my pick still. I've talked my way in circles around this. It was Boston 4-2 at the initial point. I then talked my way into the Dallas depth and how good they are. But then you look at the way that Boston will defend them and the way the Dallas will have to defend Boston. It gets a lot trickier, I think, for Dallas across the series. I still think the exact order of Boston, Dallas, Boston, Dallas, Boston, Boston, 4-2 win feels pretty bang on. But Boston 4-2 is still probably my favorite pick. Tatum, most rebounds. Most threes, Derek White. Love that pick as well. And the zinger, an interesting one, as I mentioned. He could bang in a lot. So most threes could be $18. So there's some series bets. Finals MVP. You might be thinking, Jim, if you're saying 4-2, it's Boston, then finals MVP is Tatum. You'd be correct. I think he gets it. And I think they do the damn thing. The other finals record bet that was pretty funny as well. Is anyone going to hit more threes than Steph Curry did in a final series? He hit 33. No. No one's going to get 33. Can someone hit 10 threes in a game? No. Again, no. I think the defense is a little bit too good. Is anyone going to score more than 62 points in a game? That's interesting. Could Luka have a big fucking massive game out of nowhere and the Mavs still lose? Maybe. That's at $36. Either way, so there's some series ideas. 4-2 Boston, $31 Derek White or Tatum. Well, $31 for Derek White is the long shot. Tatum is the MVP anyway. Kyrie under, Tatum over, Brown over, Luka over, Derek White over. Keep an eye on those. All right, let's do the game one preview. Game one preview, Jim. Game one preview. Thanks, Inadvertent Bane. Not a problem. How's it going without basketball? Clearly bad because I've just been talking for an hour non-fucking stop, mate. So this is a crucial game one. All the games are crucial. It's the fucking NBA Finals. But specifically for Dallas, if you lose teams on the road, are 13-46 in the finals if they lose game one on the road. 13-46. You better fucking win it, Dallas, if you want to win the series, basically. It's less important for the Celtics. Teams that lose game one at home are still 10-8. So that's a less amount of times that that's happened, but still. Look, game one, I'm still going to pick the Mavs to cover the line because the Mavs have covered the line in 7 of the last 8 road games. A couple of player-specific ones here. I think Luka, 49.5 points, rebounds, assists. I'm going over that. That's a 30-10-10. I think he can do that in his sleep at this point of his run. And then if we go to the extreme Zinger meal, I think he gets off to a slightly slower start. So give me the under 24.5 point rebounds, assists for Zinger. Jaylen Brown under 32.5 because I think he might hit that scoring average that I talked about earlier. I think in one of these games though, his assists and rebound numbers have been pretty low throughout these playoffs. So even if Brown gets 27 points, he might still not get enough rebounds and assists to go over there. Dan Gafford, though, points and rebounds, over 13.5. It might be tricky if he gets played off the floor. I don't know if it happens in game one. I think they give him enough rope. They see how it goes against the Zinger. He should get plenty of rebounds. The 13.5, it'd be interesting to see how they try to guard Lively and Gafford in the paint, which might be the weird little thing that Dallas has over Boston, where it's like, Zinger, he's protecting the rim. But yeah, they keep running him out of position and shit with PJ Hamilton, Washington and stuff. So we'll see what happens there. I like Gafford over 13.5 points and rebounds. I think as we sort of broke down, the over is probably the best look for game one, where Boston just don't score less than 119 against the Mavs. And their over record is better at home. And the Mavs over record is better on the road as well. So I think we'll go the over 214.5 points. I also had a Kyrie one there that I suddenly can't find. For the points, rebounds, assists for Kyrie, I think it was going to be under because that number is 32.5. So I'll go under for Kyrie as well. I think in game one, it just gets a little bit too much. He again as well, right? He might score a shit ton of points. He might have 23 points, 6 assists and fuck all rebounds, and he still go under there. But the final pick for game one, Mavs plus 6.5, Boston win it. I think the Celtics get it done. I think their defense ekes it out in the end. I think there'll be a couple of flurries there where they go, oh God, are we going to crap our pants? And the Mavs just sort of stick around. But I just trust the Boston sort of attempts on both sides of the ball a hint more than Dallas, especially in game one. The one qualm, and that's probably why I'm taking Dallas plus 6.5, is the rust versus rest, Gerald. Rust versus rest. I love it. You got the Zinger who hasn't played in like a million years. You got a Celtics team that hasn't played in a week and a half. Dallas haven't played in a week, but they sort of needed that just to get over Luka's knee strain and shit like that. So I reckon they probably come out firing. Maybe you even take the Mavs first half. That's not a bad idea. And then the Celtics to win. So I think the Mavs plus 6.5. We'll see how this goes. I can't fucking wait for Friday morning. I feel like we should do a live stream. Gerald's like, not another one. Fuck you, Jim. Because we are doing a King's birthday live stream on Monday as well, straight after game 2. Anyway, so Mavs plus 6.5. How do you feel about that? Let us know. We'll do some yeah-nahs on Friday. But that's when we'll be back with the next episode, because that'll do us for today. We'll be back on deck on Friday to wrap up game 1, finally, of the NBA Finals. That's right. We're going to be there. Finally. I'm not going to be there in person, so I'm just saying we'll be at a time when the finals are fucking happening finally. Because this has just been too long. What are you doing, Adam Silver? I'm trying to make the money, Jim. Okay, Silver, I get it. All right. But until Friday, make sure you're following NBA Straya on Twitter, Facey IG. We're all over that, as well as TikTok. There's some shorts and gear as well. Don't worry about that. But what else? AFL Today show. Smash that. We taped an awesome midweek show for that. We'll have the Thursday team show as well. Get right around AFL Today across all the socials. You can watch that and this show as well on YouTube. That's fun. Hooray! Cricket Today podcast, Football Today podcast, Hold All Tickets, NFL Straya, all the good shit right there. Chuck us a rating and review on your Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, whatever app you're using the Android phone. Do it. Like, subscribe, star, or I will fight you. You've been warned. Maybe I'll get Gerald to do it. Anyway, big thanks go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song. Check out their new band, House Hats, as well as Joshua De Laurentiis, Fascinated, Goldmines, Ramshackle Army, iOS, Sex Shit, Green, and Dozers for all the tunes you hear throughout the show. Smash them on Bandcamp, Triple J and Earth, Facey, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever you listen to your tunes through. Smash in like all these bands, NBA Australia Sports Train bands. So should you. Get around the NBA Straya shop as well, nbaaustralia.com/shop. Just click through on the socials, pretty pictures there. Get a hoodie, get a t-shirt, get a mug, get a stubby holder, go nuts. And that's it. I'm ruined. My voice is fucked, so we better piss off. But the cool thing is, next time I talk to you, it'll be Friday. We'll do a video Friday morning as well when we do the drop-off playoff pick for game 1 of the finals, but that's when you'll see me next. All right, so until then, this is NBA Australia saying, look after yourselves, would you dickheads? Later, Hosanna!